Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And the 2029 season finally gets underway today. A relatively quiet offseason for our Rockies, who didn't have a lot of financial flexibility. Really, the only two key additions to the team added Jordan Hicks as a free agent for $2.5 million this year. He's going to be our number 5 starter to begin the season, primarily because we had to promise him a starter role to get him on board. Brought him on board primarily because he can, given his extreme popularity, give us a boost in fan interest, which he did. Similar thought process behind bringing Joe Rock on board, also a very popular player. Signed him to a 3-year deal, but it's really a $2.5 million deal for this year, $1.5 million, as you can see, for his salary this year, and then $1 million buyout to avoid paying him $10 million next year, which I am doubtful that we will do. But the addition of those two players puts us in a situation where fan interest is a 61. Certainly not a great level, but it did improve a bit during this offseason. The only other real change that we made to the team was making a trade for Ian Petrutz. And based on some recent feedback to the last episode from Sam Conkle and Dog Massa, we're going to have Petrutz begin the season on the bench. We're going to give the youngster Charlie Condon an opportunity to sink or swim as a first baseman for us. Was once one of the top prospects in our organization, and by rankings at least one of the top prospects in baseball. He has not been productive in the majors over bits and pieces of the last 2 seasons. But given that our scout at least thinks there is still some upside here, he's almost 26 years old. We're going to try to play him every day these first couple months of the season. If his offensive production is kind of what it's been over the course of his career, we likely move on to Petrutz and let him take over as first base against right-handed pitching. If Condon is able to hold his own and perhaps even start improving with some regular major league at-bats, then maybe we can still salvage something and he can still build a legitimate major league career in the coming seasons. March 29th here, as the season is getting underway. Got 3 games home against San Diego and then a day off on Sunday before we face the Giants, the Cubs, the Cardinals, and then the Giants again over the first couple of weeks of the month of May, or the month of April. Already trying to move this season along way faster than it needs to be. And we did take 2 of the first 3 games of the season in late March from the division rival Padres, so off to a decent start, even though we are already 1 game behind in the division to the always strong Dodgers. Not surprisingly, Chandler Simpson, who's trying to lead either the AL or the NL in stolen bases for a 4th consecutive season, off to a very strong start already with 5 stolen bases in that 3-game series against the Padres. And the early stages of the season off to a decent start with a 7-5 record. Perhaps not surprisingly, though, the Dodgers are very hot, won 9 in a row, so we're already 4.5 games behind here on April 12th, despite having a winning record. One injury issue, not going to be a critical one, but Cole Carrig, the utility player, is going to be out with a herniated disc in his back for about 6 weeks. He's just 1 for 12 on the season. Solo shot was his 1 hit of the early going here in 2029. Also, the top prospects and the entire draft pool was announced. We've got 3 months until the draft takes place by virtue of having given that qualifying offer this past offseason to Mr. May, we will be having 2 picks in the first round, or more accurately, 1 pick in the regular first round, 24th overall, and then we will have a supplemental pick, the 5th supplemental pick, 39th pick overall also. So not expecting necessarily any of these top 10 prospects in the draft to be available, but certainly we'll be doing some intensive scouting over the next 3 months to get ready for this draft. And we've made it through the first month of the season. The Rockies sitting still in second place with a 16-12 record. No surprise that the Dodgers are still ahead of us with a 23-7 record. Los Angeles has the best record in all of baseball. So we are 6 games back in the division, 1 game up on the final wild card spot as we sit here on May 1st. Chandler Simpson actually finds himself in a bit of a challenging race to lead the league in steals, at least thus far this year, tied with Elly De La Cruz of the Reds with 15. Jesus Luzardo having a strong start to the season, 5-1 record with a 2.38 earned run average over his first 6 starts of the year. Take a quick look at the team statistics for our Rockies. Our 16-12 record is a little below expectations. 2-1 in March, as we already talked about, followed up by a 14-11 April. So a solid start to the season. Tied for 4th in the National League in runs scored, other than our continued inability to draw walks. We're one of the top handful of teams in most offensive categories. And we're tied for 2nd in the National League in runs allowed. Again, given that we're playing half our game in Coors Field, if we finish anywhere close to 2nd in the league in runs allowed, we're going to find this team in a very good position and likely will be in the playoffs when all is said and done, even though we do have the challenge of competing with the heavily resourced Dodgers in the National League West. Check in on how a couple of key guys are doing this year. Gus Nieves, unfortunately, still has 2 games left for a suspension from a brawl, but off to another really good start this year in his 2nd season in the majors. 284 average with 8 homers and 19 ribbies in his first 95 at-bats of the season. So he's putting up another solid offensive year for us, certainly more than a solid year if he continues to put up a 147 OPS plus and 129 WRC plus. Charlie Condon has been playing more often than not for us, hitting just 200, does have 3 homers and 65 at-bats, but ultimately a 60 WRC plus, and he's been slightly below replacement level. Team is still playing okay despite his personal struggles, so we'll try to give him a little more time to hopefully show that he really belongs here at the major league level. The 33 strikeouts that he has in 65 at-bats certainly indicates that perhaps he doesn't actually belong. And as we move to mid-May, we're still playing pretty well, 24-16 record, so a 600 winning percentage. Unfortunately, we're 8 games behind the Dodgers, who at 33-9 are playing at historically strong levels. Another long winning streak for the Dodgers, 7 in a row. Looking at the leaderboard here on May 14th, Gus Nieves tied for 2nd in the league in home runs. Simpson now leading the league in steals. Nieves 2nd in OPS. Ezequiel Tovar is 3rd in batter WAR. And Jesus Luzardo, 6-1 record with a 2.36 ERA, tied with Roki Sasaki of the Dodgers for 2nd in wins. Both of them a win behind Mr. Yamamoto. So the Dodgers' stacked lineup and rotation continues to perform very well. We have, by virtue of the 7-3 record over our last 10, gotten a 3.5 game lead on the final wild card spot in the National League, and we've also put ourselves into a position where if the playoffs were to end today, we would have the first wild card spot and be hosting a wild card series. And unfortunately, despite our really good start to the season, we've already lost a couple points in fan interest to 59. So seems like no matter what we do on the field, the fans here with the Rockies, with that pathetic fan loyalty, are never satisfied. If the season were to end today, we'd be in the playoffs for a fourth consecutive season. So you would think there would be a little bit more excitement about what's going on with the Rockies than what we've seen so far, unfortunately. And the team continues to play pretty well. We just took 2 out of 3 against St. Louis. Unfortunately, our closer, Ryan Walker, shoulder inflammation that's going to have a moderate impact on his throwing for the next 1 to 2 weeks. So we put him on the IL. He's had a rough year so far, 7.47 ERA with 10 walks and 5 homers allowed in just 15 2/3 innings. So perhaps he hasn't been right for a while, and getting a little time on the IL hopefully will allow him to come back and be more what we've been expecting of him over the first couple years that he's been with us. And Cole Carrig also remains on the IL. His recovery from that herniated disc actually taken a bit longer than originally expected. So both of those guys, Walker and Carrig, could be back in the next 1 to 2 weeks to fill Walker's spot on the Major League roster. Isaiah Shader, the number 53 prospect in baseball, 6th round pick of ours in 2025, going to get to make his Major League debut just before his 23rd birthday. He was 4-2 with a 4.91 ERA and a 1.7 WAR in 8 starts in AAA Albuquerque, and we'll see what he can do working out of the pen as a major leaguer. Definitely one of the higher end pitching prospects in our organization, whose development for a 6th rounder has gone pretty well, and we'll see if perhaps Shader can make a case to stick here in the majors. And another injury to the pitching staff, and this is going to require us to give someone an opportunity to join the rotation. Braden Nett, who's 2-2 with a 4.41 ERA in his first 10 starts of the year, suffered a hammy strain while changing a tire on the side of the road. Going to be out 5 weeks. Can't say I completely understand that injury, but weird things happen. And with Nett joining Walker, whose recovery time is now unknown, and Carrig, who does look like he's finally getting close, on the IL, reunited with our old friend Ryan Feltner, just added him to the 40-man roster. He was 0-0 with a save, 22 1/3 innings as a middle reliever in AAA Albuquerque. 10.48 ERA with 10 home runs and 16 walks allowed over 22 1/3 innings. His Sierra materially better than the ERA he actually put up. Did strike out 27 batters. He has been successful for us in the majors before. Just going to be working in a long relief role, mop-up role at this point, but maybe we'll catch some lightning in a bottle, as we did in Feltner's previous tenure with us in the majors, where he won 11 games for us in each of the first 3 years of this series. And an incredible streak just came to the end for Chandler Simpson. 64 consecutive stolen bases. Carrig ready to come back, but that was an incredible run. We talked in our summary episode from last year how great that Simpson was, 79 out of 82 on the base paths, and he was successful in his first 28 attempts this year, adding to that final 36 stolen base attempts that he was successful on last year. So he remains a historically effective base runner. Unfortunately, the batting average has dipped to 225 this year, and the on-base percentage is below 300. So just a 57 WRC plus for our left fielder as we sit here in late May. with a 30-21 record. Although our winning percentage has dipped a little bit, the Dodgers have also been playing not quite as good of late, 7 games behind the Dodgers, and we are still in the number 1 wild card spot in the National League, still 3.5 games up on the final wild card spot in the NL. And with Cole Carrig coming back, we sent Ozzie Albies, who we had signed to a minor league free agent contract this past offseason, back down to the minors. And we're also making a move. We're going to pivot Gus Nieves to DH, put in Cole Carrig at right field now that he's back, and we are going to send Toshimi Masuda to the bench. He's the international free agent from a couple years ago who we signed to a minor league contract, came up and had 10 home runs and 93 at-bats for us last year. This year it's been a major struggle, hitting just a .171 with 34 strikeouts and 70 at-bats, so just a 41 WRC plus. He's been well below replacement level, so definitely feeling like got some opportunities to improve this roster as we get closer to the trade deadline. Petrutz remains primarily a bench player for us. He's hitting just .207, although he does have 4 homers and 82 at-bats. Condon playing a little bit better, has the batting average up to .238, 5 homers, 9 doubles, and 21 ribbies and 122 at-bats, striking out in less than half of his at-bats at this point, closing in on striking out in only, in parentheses or quotation marks, 40% of his at-bats at this point. 84 WRC plus. He's been slightly above replacement level, given that guys who could conceivably be getting at-bats for him, like Petrutz and even Masuda, aren't doing that well. We're going to continue giving Condon an opportunity to try to play every day. And with that latest pitching injury, we're going to give Shader an opportunity to jump into the rotation. Pitched in 3 games for us, a 1.69 ERA with 7 strikeouts over 5 1/3 innings pitched. This will guarantee that he'll get consistent playing time for at least the next couple of weeks. And we'll have some decisions to make down the line, but might as well see what the youngster can do. We haven't really developed any pitchers of note that we've drafted to help us at the major league level yet. Shader would certainly be the first if he can actually become an impactful pitcher for us. And another month now fully in the books, still second place in the NL West, 6.5 games behind the Dodgers. Continue to hold on to that first wild card spot in the National League with our 33-22 record, 3.5 games up on the final wild card spot. Right now it's the Cardinals and the Nationals who would be the other wild cards here in the NL. The Brewers have been playing real good baseball. They've almost caught up to the Dodgers in terms of their record, just a game behind. Those 2 teams are far and away the top 2 teams in baseball at this point. Simpson with 30 steals, leading the league in that category. Gus Nieves with a .982 OPS, second in the National League. Ezequiel Tovar, healthy and well thus far this year, third in the National League in batter WAR. And Luzardo, 9 wins already. He's run his record to 9-1 with a 2.28 ERA. So he continues to pitch better each season with us in Colorado, as seems to be getting more and more comfortable with his surroundings. Taking a look at our team statistics, the 33-22 record, 2 below Pythagorean expectations, followed up the solid start in March and April with a really good May 17-10 record last month, third in the National League in runs scored, and outside of our 8th ranking in on-base percentage and 11th in walks drawn. We're generally in the top handful in just about every pitching category in the National League. Still inexplicably second in the National League in runs allowed, and we're pretty much in the top 5 in most pitching categories. Home runs allowed, where we're middle of the pack, and walks, where we're tied for 11th, and walks allowed are the two exceptions to that. Defense pretty good, and pretty good on the base paths thus far as well. And before we finish up the episode, we'll take a quick look at how some of our top prospects have been performing in the early stages of this season. I mentioned, I believe, an episode or two ago that I thought Jordan Contreras or Francisco Santos might try to get either of them playing time with our Arizona Complex League team, but neither of them, at least in terms of their ratings, look quite ready. So we're going to wait till the DSL season begins. Santos in particular, I'll check again right now because as a 20-year-old, maybe we could get him a little more seasoning there. Although we've got so many good outfielders, it's going to be a food fight for playing time at that level. Kevin Roberts Jr., the 20-year-old who we picked 5th overall in 2026, was promoted to high A ball at the start of this season. He's hitting .307 with 10 homers and 37 ribbies and 153 at-bats. Still looks like he is on his way to potentially becoming a pretty important player for us. With that real strong performance, even though he's only 20 years old, going to see what he looks like. Obviously, he's more than competent for the Northwestern League where he is right now. And it looks like he can borderline hold his own in the Eastern League. May keep him in high A for another month, but would anticipate that we'll be promoting him relatively soon. Have gone through this before, but one thing that I like to think about with some of the top prospects when I'm thinking about promotions is the type of relationships that they are going to have with the various coaches. You look at Spokane, where he is right now, and the manager, Darwin Barney, has only an average relationship with Kevin Roberts Jr. He's good with both development and mechanics. The hitting coach in High A Spokane, who's legendary in terms of teaching hitting and outstanding in development and mechanics. Also actually not that great, only has a fair relationship with Kevin Roberts Jr. So this is a situation where if I think the relationships might be materially better in Double A, which is certainly possible, or maybe he's just a difficult personality who doesn't get along with anyone. But if these relationships in Triple A look better, I may just move him up to that level. Jose Mosquera, looks like expect him to have a average relationship with the manager in Double A, and then the Double A hitting coach Carlos Rodriguez, expect him to have an average relationship too. So slightly better relationships in Triple A or Double A than High A, but nothing incredibly material, all things considered. So we will probably just keep Roberts in High A for another month and then promote him likely at the start of July. Shader, we've talked about, got to pitch his first start in the majors a few days ago. Did take the loss in that start, but he wasn't bad. Taking a look at his game log, 6 1/3 innings, allowed 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. So a quality start for him through 93 pitches, although he did take the loss. So a nice introduction to the majors for Mr. Shader. Trent Clausen started out for us the year in Double A in the Eastern League with Hartford after he hadn't been particularly effective in Triple A a year ago. Hit .343 in 70 at-bats, and then we promoted him up to Triple A Albuquerque, hitting over .300 with 7 doubles, 3 triples, and 3 home runs in 92 at-bats. Still think he's a guy who could help us in the not-too-distant future. He's considered the number 66 prospect in baseball right now. And our final top 100 prospect is James Embry, second-round pick of ours from a year ago in 2028. 1-2 with a 4 ERA and A-ball for us this year. Hopefully we'll get to promote him to High A in the not-too-distant future. But with a 1.80 whip and 28 walks in just 45 innings in A-ball, certainly hasn't earned that promotion quite yet. And in addition to the 6 top 100 prospects we've got 4 more in the top 200. Right fielder Ted Miller, second round pick from 2027, hitting .358 in 81 at-bats in rookie ball. Would think that the 20-year-old is probably going to earn a promotion to A-ball after the end of the Arizona Complex League season in about a month and a half. Ryan Stone, last year's first-round draft pick, playing in high A ball, and he's hitting over 300 there with 8 homers and 34 ribbies and 158 at-bats. So he continues to perform very well at every level. Would expect that we'll be promoting Stone up to Double-A in the not-too-distant future. You can see he's more than capable of handling the Northwestern League, Eastern League. Probably can hold his own there, but we may give him another month before we test the soon-to-be 23-year-old against Double-A players. Cole Klecker, 11th round pick from 2025, 3-3 with a 6.75 ERA for AAA Albuquerque. Still looks like a potentially usable major league arm, like the ground ball tendencies. Not going to put too much weight on those stats in AAA Albuquerque and the PCL. Still think that profile could end up being a more than respectable back of the rotation guy for us in the not too distant future. Our final top 200 prospect, Doug Bartholo, 5th round pick from 2027, hitting a blistering .383 in the ACL this year. On-base percentage .500. Another guy who could be competing for a promotion to A-ball in the next month and a half once the ACL season wraps up. Given that he's still only 19 years old, don't feel real urgency to promote him, but if it looks like he's more or less ready at the end of the ACL season, we may end up promoting him. Right now, looks like he'd probably struggle a little bit in the California League with his relative ratings, but as I noted, still a month and a half till the ACL season will come to an end, and we'll really have to make that decision. And with that, we will call it an episode. Next time around, planning to have a busy episode. We'll sim through the month of June and into July, do our annual mid-season review of the roster, and start figuring out what we might want to try to do in the trade market. Although with the players we've had to add to the 40-man roster because of injuries, we have absolutely no money available to do anything. So definitely in a situation where we're most likely going to have to dance with the people that we brought to this dance rather than trying to find someone new on the trade market. But you never know. There's always teams willing to retain salary. So we'll be exploring options in the trade market in the next episode as well. And hopefully we'll sim all the way up to the draft. We have been pretty aggressively scouting some of these players. Looking forward to having a first-round pick plus that supplemental first-round pick that we talked about at the start of the episode. Would love to be able to find some help for our infield. Feel great about the outfield prospects in our organization. Feel okay about our pitching prospects, but we're really lacking in terms of infielders that we think are going to be able to be impactful major leaguers down the line. So hopefully we'll be able to find some in the draft this year. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.